Today we're doing Module 3, Lesson 19. The objective of today's lesson is to multiply by multiples of 10 using the place value chart. The materials needed for today are your online whiteboard or your whiteboard dry erase marker and dry eraser. And the teaching style we're going to follow is where I do it, we do it together, and then you do it on your own. First, I'm going to start with an example. Here I have the equation 50 times 2. So 50 is a multiple of 10, okay? And we know that because it ends in 1, 0, and 10 also ends in 1, 0. So what I'm going to do is first over here on the left, I'm going to show you how we would solve 5 times 2, okay? So we're gonna pretend just for a minute that that 0 isn't there. We're just gonna do 5 rows of 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's my 5 rows with 2 in each row. So this is 5 times 2. And I can count by 2s. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 5 times 2 equals 10. But our equation is not 5 times 2, it's 50 times 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just move that same picture into the tens place so that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows of 2. Okay. But this is really 5 times 2 tens because it's in the tens place. So each of these is not worth 1 anymore, it's worth 10. So if we were to count these, it would be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. So it's really just like doing 5 times 2, except we're doing it in the tens place. So instead of each dot being worth 1, it's worth 10. Now you might notice when we used this extra 0, right, over here we just had 10, and over here we had 10 plus the extra 0. So when we're multiplying by multiples of 10, what you can do is you can just take the two numbers and multiply them and then add the 0 on the end. So we could have just done 5 times 2, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and then added the 0 on the end. Okay, because that's all we're doing is adding that tens place. Let's go ahead and have you try one with me. Now I have 60 times 4. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to write this equation on your whiteboard, 60 times 4, up at the top. And then you need to make 2 place value charts, just like the 2 I have on mine. So I'll give you about a minute to get that set up on your whiteboard, and then we'll start solving. Okay, let's go ahead and start on our place value chart on the left, and we're just going to do 6 times 4. So let's do 6 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, with 4 in each row. 1, 2, 3, 4. So go ahead and draw your 6 rows of 4. Now that you have your 6 rows of 4, let's just skip count to figure out our answer. 4, 8, 12. Go ahead and finish your skip count. Write down your answer to 6 times 4 on your whiteboard. If we continue our skip count, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. So you should have figured out that 6 times 4 equals 24. But we know that what we're actually trying to solve is 60 times 4. So let's go ahead in your other place value chart and make that same array, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, with 6 rows of 4. And this will represent 60 times 4, because now each of our circles will be worth 10 instead of 1. So go ahead and finish your array. So now that you have your array done, we can go ahead and skip count. And this would really be like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. 90, 100, 110, 120. And you might notice the pattern, right? Here we have 4. Here we have 4 with a 0 after it. Over here we have 8. Over here we have 8 with a 0 after it. Over here we have 12. And over here we have 12 with a 0 after it. So each time we're just adding that 0 on at the end, and that's because we're really just multiplying by 10. So we're adding the place value of that 0. Go ahead and finish your skip count so that you can solve for me the answer to 60 times 4. Okay, so if you kept your skip count going, or kept our pattern going, then this would be 16 with a 0 at the end, or 160. 20 with a 0 at the end, or 200. And then 24 with a 0 at the end, which is 240. So 60 times 4 is 240, which we can see is really 24 with a 0 at the end. Okay? So when you're solving these equations that are multiples of 10, you're really solving 6 times 4, which is 24, and then adding the 0 at the end. Okay? So you can do your normal skip count. If you were solving 6 times 4, you'd be able to count by 4 6 times and then just add the 0 at the end. You can go ahead and erase your whiteboards now. We're going to move to where you are practicing alone. So we're doing IXL skill F11, which is multiply by 10. So you see an equation here, and what you might notice is that this is 6 times 10. Okay? So it's just going to be like doing 6 times 1 and then adding a 0 at the end. So 6 times 1, we know any number times 1 is itself. So 6 times 1 would be 6, and then add a 0 at the end. So 6 times 10 is 60. Go ahead and begin.